Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Gambit number 2. This came out, or the print date on it at least, was January 1994. And I just have to say, this story just continues to get really, really interesting. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, make sure to pause this video and go check out the review that I did on Gambit number 1. We'll wait. And you're back. So when we jump into it, we see that Gambit is now in New Orleans instead of in Westchester with the X-Men, which is where the first issue mostly took place. And now what I like is, as Gambit's talking, I like how these the dialogue begins to turn into like playing cards and how they fall and they lead your eye. And so Gambit's talking about as when he was growing up in the Thieves Guild, he'd always be sneaking into this mansion, which I think is the Assassins Guild, because there's the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. Now, before we go any further into this and talking about Belle, this miniseries was the inspiration for the X-Men the Animated series. I think it was just one episode. It was one or two episodes. I can't remember, but it was called Externally Yours. It was season 2, episode 6. This was the miniseries that inspired that. So if next time that you watch the cartoon, you'll know where the original source material was. However, in the cartoon, they didn't mention Belladonna. Now, Belladonna is Gambit's wife. I believe, if I looked at it correctly, her first appearance was in the volume 2 of X-Men, issue number 2, the one that Claremont and Jim Lee started. And I think it was issue 2 where she was introduced, and she was allegedly killed, I believe, by the Brood, her and her brother Julian. And I believe in the last issue we talked about Julian, where he's kind of like this shadow merciless assassin now, like, you know, where these thieves and these guilds are supposed to have honor. Julian's killing without honor, and that's kind of what happened with Gambit's brother in the last issue. But before we go any further into this, well, first, before I even start talking about the credits, I just love this panel, how we're looking down and everything just kind of leads, you know, the focal point leads into them, and you just see the pain on Gambit's face of seeing his wife alive. So that's just a really nice panel. Speaking of which, Honor Among Thieves. Story and art by Howard Mackey. And then Lee Weeks, Klaus Janson. Colors, Steve Buccoletto. Letter, Richard Starkings. Editor was Bob Harris, and the chief at the time was Tom DeFalco. So you got a pretty big name crew on this book, and it shows. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, Gambit's back in New Orleans. Word's starting to gather, and so a lot of the assassins want to kill him. He just goes, "Pah. For a long time I've been hearing that trash from the likes of you. Assassins always talking about killing old Remy LeBeau, saying I ain't good enough to marry no assassin woman, except the woman, she want to marry me." And so he takes out these assassins, just boom, boom, boom. And I love how the art team just shows the anger in Gambit's faces. He just takes them all out. And even though he's able to do that, Belladonna's father, Gambit's father-in-law, Marius, head of the Assassin's Guild, wants to kill Remy. But Gambit's like, I'm not going to fight you. And he's like, well, do you not have honor? Pick up the sword and fight me. And he's like, I don't have no desire to fight my father-in-law. But, you know, and this is where we kind of find out that Gambit was adopted by, you know, it goes more into his backstory, how he was adopted by Jean-Luc Lebeau. He goes, you're just a mutant outsider picked up, or was it stolen when you were but a babe? An adopted thief. Pah, a dead thief. Alright, we fight then, because he just got his honor just trashed. But even then, Gambit doesn't want to kill him. He tries to, what's it called? Block and basically be defensive, because he doesn't want to kill Marius. And before anything can go any further, I love how Rogue just smashes through, just in like classic X-Men style. And she goes, pardon me, fellas, but I don't take kindly to all this killing talk. Gambit here is a teammate of mine. And even though he does tend to run off at the mouth, I like him the way he is. Alive. And she throws him out of this house, and she goes, y'all take care now. And I just love how she uses that southern charm. It really works. And then just look at the artwork in this book. Just, oh, I don't mean to bash newer comics, but you do not see quality artwork like this very often anymore unless it's like an indie book. But I mean, back in the day, 94, Marvel Comics, great work. And even the small panels, you kind of see this little bit of hint of madness on Gambit's face. And he's talking about how assassins play for keeps. He goes, but fortunately, so do thieves. And then I like how Rogue just kind of brings him back to reality, and she goes, an X-Men. Touche. Because you can kind of see that he's starting to get back into the life, and I like how Rogue is there to kind of anchor him. So anyway, Mark Marius acquiesces and says that Gambit can take Belladonna, because he's saying, you can use the Thieves' elixir of life to save her. And Rogue's like, what are you talking about? And Gambit's like, this is just fairy tales. But Marius like, you know better. Because you come to find out that with the Thieves and the Assassins, that there's this woman, Candra's, which we all know now, so spoiler alerts. Candra's part of the Externals. And, they're kind of these mutants that have a long life. Her, Gideon, and then there's another one. Is it Selene? Oh, I can't remember her name. Let me know down in the comments. But anyway, they give the Assassins power. And then they give long life to the Thieves. And each one has to tithe and gets these vials that makes the elixir that they need. So anyway, Marius is saying if you give the elixir to Belladonna, it will save her life. And so Gambit and Rogue run off to try to speak to Gambit's father about this. And while that's happening, we see Julian come in and just starts to sweep the assassins, which are these are his family. And he goes, one by one, assassins fall before the murderers' attacks. Friends and family alike fall before the murderers. The blood of childhood playmates mingles at the feet of the one they once called brother. Tonight, their women will weep. So you kind of see how far off the tracks this guy has gone. And there's a really rough moment with him and his father, which I don't want to run. And so while the tithe ceremony is going on with the Thieves, Gambit and Rogue just bust in. He goes, we will have words. And what's funny is, Gambit says this to his father, but Julian says the same thing to his father. He goes, we will have words. So I kind of like how this echoes back. Gambit keeps saying, you don't have to be here. And she goes, I'm not leaving you on your own again. So I like that Rogue stands by him, especially after what Wolverine told her in the last issue where he said, tonight, him chasing revenge for his brother, he was like, leave him be. But after that, don't let him out of your sight. If you love him, stay with him. And so that's exactly what Rogue is doing. So anyway, there's another character here named Pierre who is saying, I'm not going to have any more of your shenanigans, LeBeau, which means Remy. And he just throws Pierre, and he's talking about how we need the elixir. And Jean-Luc, who's his father, is just being super hard-headed. And Gambit, I just love how his eyes just turn this crimson, and he goes, the elixir, father, or would you have me turn assassin right here? And then there's a moment with Rogue, and it's just, it is intense. Anyway, his father is so proud that he will not help his son because they will not let this feud go between the assassins and the thieves. So very much a Romeo and Juliet situation like the Montagues and the Capulets. And it's like you give away everything in exchange for long life. That is not living. My brother is dead. My wife will be saved. If my family will not help me with this, then I'll do it myself. Mourn the loss of two sons, Jean-Luc LeBeau. And you see the pain on his face, but he doesn't know what to do. He's conflicted. He wants to help his son, but he doesn't want to destruct the pact or his guild. So very much a conflicted man there. And then there's another moment with Julian. And if y'all remember from last issue, this is the tithe collector who gives everything to both guilds. So something kind of goes rogue there. And no, not Rogue the character. And then we have a quiet moment, believe it or not, after all of this, and Gambit kind of explains a little bit of how he was taken in by Jean-Luc, this house and what he intended it for, and all this good stuff. He even says, I bought this place years ago to retire, settle down and raise a family. Who am I kidding? I'll never settle down. But even a thief has to have dreams, eh? So with that said, I know I kind of just skimmed over this, but I don't want to spoil this book because there's a lot to take in, and it's a really great read. So yeah, guys, if you've never read this initial Gambit miniseries, definitely pick it up, because now that's had some age on it from 1994. It is something special, especially to compared to a lot of type of different books that are going on right now. This actually has a lot of heart, a lot of good mystery and intrigue in it. So if you all have enjoyed this, please make sure to first and foremost, say that 3 times fast, support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we'd really appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little playing card bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified and come to the channel, and we'd love to have a dialogue with y'all and hear your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. And with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.